right. Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Do a little mic check. I think this is working. Doing well. All right. Okay. All right, just waiting a little bit for people to come in. Is it showing up blurry? How are we looking, Josh? How are we looking, everybody? Sounds good. Okay, great. All right, welcome, everybody. Welcome to DM Tauzy Presents Tricks of the Trade. Today we're going to be talking about world building, world design, and creature design. I'll be making a creature from scratch, or mostly from scratch today. So yeah, let's do some announcements real quick. Get those out of the way. Okay. So September is here, everybody. September is here. This is your best opportunity to become a recurring subscriber. Until September ends, you can enjoy 25% off 1 month recurring, 25% off 3 month recurring, and 30% off 6 month recurring subs. This is a great deal for Amazon Prime subscribers. Any of you that are on a gifted subscription, type !September without a dash in our chat for details. And if you haven't, go grab some merch. We got some new merch options on the shop, so go check those out. We have an awesome mouse pad pre-order sale that's about to expire. I think it hasn't expired yet, so I think we're still good there. But go check that out. If you like, if you're one of my players and you hear me say click your token and roll initiative, that is our mouse pad. So go check that out. TVT 2v2v2. That is team versus team battle. Team versus team. Player versus player. 2v2v2. 3 teams of 2 people each is on the 22nd at 8 p.m. PT. The teams are as follows. I'm going to post this in Discord as I'm talking. The teams are as follows. Team 1, Trey and Bradley. Team 2 will be Josh and Tim. And Team 3 will be Steve and John. Steven and John will be Team 3. Cool. Those are in Discord. Come watch us, everybody, on the 22nd for TVT 2v2v2. That is happening then. Resub day is the 23rd, so come check us out. On the 23rd, we'll have, I think Planescapers is happening on the 23rd. We have Planescapers tomorrow, and then the 23rd will be our resub day. That just means if you haven't resubbed by then, try to resub when everybody else is resubbing, if you can. And then the Grand Coliseum Battle Royale PvP, that's a Battle Royale, everybody for themselves. PvP is on the 30th at 8 p.m. PT. All right, so let's talk about world design and world building. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so this one's gonna be more like just kind of chatting. I don't have much of a script. I'll go over questions that I've gotten, and then we'll just talk about world building. We'll talk about like taking it easy and making some first adventures or some first things to help you build your own campaign. If you're looking to build something to have people try it out, and you want to try out DMing, here's some options. Okay, let's go over questions first. Questions: world first or story first? Can the two be separated? Should they? I would say story first. I would say like select which world you're going to do. If it's your own world, that's great. But make sure you have a story or some idea of a story before you begin. And what I suggest doing for there is creating an ending first. So think of like an ending set piece. Who are they fighting? Who's your villain? What are your heroes going up against once they've finished the campaign? Start at the end, then work your way backwards. But I would say story first. But can the two be separated? Should they? I mean, no, they're not. No, they work well together. They're not. Yeah, they help each other out. I mean, you gotta. They're separate things, right? I would say focus on your story, and then your world is just your backbone. It's your skeletal structure that you use. I know this is a world building episode, but my big advice, my TLDR advice is don't build your own world. Use someone else's world if you're first starting out. Don't make your own world. I mean, you can. It's a wonderful creative process to do, but it is a lot of work. So I recommend using someone else's world Faerun, for example, Ebuteril, use the rules that they've put in, use the pantheon that they have, use the setting they have, and just make your own stuff in that setting. It's the easiest, it is the lazy DM approach, and it is the best DM approach. Yeah. Oh, let me post these questions as well while I'm doing them. Boop-a-doo. Yeah. Cool. There we go. Okay. How do you avoid overbuilding the world? I get asked this a lot. I would say don't worry too much about it. There's no such thing as overbuilding. There's no such thing as putting in too much information into a world. Just understand that your heroes, the adventurers, are only going to they're only going to engage with some of it, right? They're not going to engage with so much of it. So just be aware. If you think you've overbuilt the world, just understand you've just made a lot of information that can be used elsewhere. Like there's no reason that what you've written or what you've built can't be used in a book or another setting or another campaign. If your heroes don't engage with something, that's okay. There's no, like, we use all parts of the bull, right? Like it can be used elsewhere. And yet still, like, people worry about it. So I would say it really is okay. I would say you're going to just be aware that your players are going to engage with what they're going to engage with, and if they don't engage with any more, that's okay. That's all right. Being overly prepared is I would say I think it's a better thing than being underprepared. So it's an okay problem to have. Yeah, it's an okay problem to have. And you can always use it for something else. Go write a book, man. If you build too much, it's not a problem I have. I don't overbuild. If anything, I underbuild. So I need to have this problem. Okay. How pliable should one's world be? Giving players sufficient agency to influence local events seems paramount to running an engaging campaign. Is there an approach for building this into your world? I mean, this is like, there's a lot of tools you could use, like faction tools. Oh man, when you start allowing these things, it becomes a bigger game. It becomes sufficiently less. You lose control as a DM when you start giving so much agency to influence like bigger events or even local events. Oh gosh, I don't know. I typically don't go the route of, like, I've been told I run a multi-narrative approach with a strong single narrative. So, like, influencing events to where things spiral out, those typically aren't my campaigns. If I had like one campaign, this is the problem with being a professional DM, is that I have, 8 or so campaigns at the same time. So I don't have as much agency to give so much control over a given world, because I will lose my mind if things become so different that I can't keep track of what's happening. Where we weren't supposed to go. How many times have we had Mike scrambling to put something where we weren't supposed to go? Well, okay, so there's a thing for that. That's different. I've built that into many of my campaigns, where if there's just nothing in over yonder hill, I give myself permission-y, and I give the players permission, at least some permission for there to be something for me to create. It's an open opportunity for me to create something in an already established campaign that multiple people are playing in. Multiple parties are playing in one campaign, but I try to leave some open space for new adventures to happen, even in somewhat carbon copy campaigns. I try to make that possible for players to do. An example of a Tauzy campaign that affords such agency is, I don't think I have one that lets you like change local events, or I don't think I have one of those. It's not the type of game I run where there's like, oh, in Strahd there's an invitation to influence the town's leadership position. I heard from Josh you handle that nicely. Oh yeah. Okay, so Strahd maybe. Strahd has a little bit of that. There's a large role-playing element where things can get very different, drastically differing from campaign to campaign. Yeah, every now and then there's one. Strahd would be my best example of that. Yeah, there's a good bit of Strahd that's just very role-play heavy. But honestly, it just isn't my style. It isn't. It's some DMs have a bigger style with that. I would say, if you want to make things easy for yourself, stay away from that for now, and just focus on the simple things. We'll get into that when I get into the Roll20, when I get into talking about Whisperwood, which is a campaign I will spoil for some people, but I don't mind it because it's kind of a retired campaign at this point. I just think I'm doing bigger and better things than this one, and it's kind of a I'm just going to retire it for now until I want to readdress it. Mossdale is going to become more of a flagship campaign that kind of takes some elements of Whisperwood. So I don't mind showing you some elements of Whisperwood. So that's what we're going to do there. So TLDR, I don't. It's tough. You want agency to happen, but I'm not the DM who's going to tell you to make your worlds incredibly pliable, because I focus more on a stronger single narrative, where changing the world so much isn't the focus. If that makes any sense. Yeah. How you approach the world, how you deal with the problems that I'm giving you, that is more the focus. That seems to be always the focus in my campaigns. Yeah. Trey has a question for me. When designing a creature, how do you scale its damage output for the level of players intended to fight it? Okay, so we'll talk about this when I'm talking about, like, when I'm making my my crag dragon. I think I'll make a crag dragon. When designing a creature, how do you scale its damage output? The best thing to do is to take a monster that is of appropriate CR next to the monster you want to create. So if you have a party of level 6 characters, if you have a party of 4 level 6 characters with low magic items, then you can take a CR6 creature for the most part, and you can create something akin to that, and that'll give you a decent challenge for your players. If you have more players than 4, which statistically speaking you probably do, and your players have more than their fair share of magical items, which they probably do, it depends on the DM, then you need to scale up. Your creatures need to be more of them, and they need to do more damage, probably. But we'll talk more about that when I get to actually design the creature. But my best advice is use the creatures that are already there, right? I will also say that someone, I don't know who, someone gifted me the Monster Manual Extended. The Extended Monster Manual. And it is gas, as the kids say. It is fucking awesome. It has greater and ancient and dire and bigger and meaner monster varieties of just about everything in the original Monster Manual. It is awesome. So I will be using that a considerable amount in my new campaigns. And they put out more damage. They are meaner. They have cooler abilities. Some of the language has been cleaned up. So So I'm excited to use that. It's pretty awesome. I do think it's third party, but I'm not sure. Okay. Generally speaking, you can make things harder than you think. Not a crazy amount harder, but generally speaking, at least when it comes to me, when I'm designing, you can make things harder than they are. Gofter? Who's that? Gifter? Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Our last question comes from Jeremy. I like fights with conditions that give characters other things to do than damage, like stopping regen with a damage type. How do you create those kinds of elements useful in fights so choices to do them are rewarding, without creating conditions no one can satisfy, i.e. no one has fire damage? Oh, too bad. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do here. And I too agree. I'm trying to create more things. There's a couple fights in Azure Sky that let you do this. Fights with the conditions that give the characters other things to do than do damage. So, environment. You can create, there's old bags of flammable, or bags of explosive, or barrels of explosive, this and that. Put them around your battlefield. Just literally put them around your battlefield. Or you can have NPCs that can help you out, but they need to be persuaded, or you need to help them in a certain way, that they might have the damage, or they might have the trigger to help out the PCs. Or you can give them magic items before they have to deal with this thing. If you have an enemy that can be only defeated with force damage, let me come back. You probably shouldn't create a monster where there's only one outcome for victory, right? Even trolls have fire and acid. Cool. Even trolls have fire and acid, which you can use either of them to stop the regen, right? So I would do that whenever you're creating something. Create a choice. So there's a monster, there's a giant like Gorgon thing that can only be defeated with force or thunder damage. It's just immune to everything else, right? So now you created a couple options. So you can have an NPC that helps them out. You can have environmental things. Literally, the things that kill them are in the environment which the enemy is in. You can have a magic item that you give to the players, maybe only one or two of them, so they have to work well together to do it. Generally speaking, though, with the way the new game is running, players have access to almost every element right off the bat. So it's not something you have to worry about anymore. Generally speaking, people have access to most elements. Yeah, so that kind of solves itself. But I agree, it's much more fun. It's kind of what I miss about the old game, actually. The old editions of D&D, where a big example is like undead were immune to crits and they were immune to sneak attack. There's no exceptions. If you're undead, you're immune to crits, you're immune to sneak attack. Same thing with I think with oozes and maybe something else. So if you're a rogue and you come across undead or oozes, you're up shit's creek, right? You got to figure out a way to help the party without doing your normal thing. And, it can feel like, oh, I'm useless in this fight, but it's forcing you to think outside the box. So I agree, you should have creatures that are immune to certain things, or can only be stopped with a limited number of actions or elements or something. But there's a lot you can do. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that does with the questions. Let's go into our Greenscale. Okay, so let's bring you into, we're just going to start with some world building. Okay, so if you're a new DM and you're world building, you're like, what do I do? You want to start small. Don't think about the entire world. If you have ideas for the entire world, great, write them down in shorthand as best you can. but think small. And the best way to think small in terms of D&D or any like high fantasy game is to think of a simple inn. This is a singing crone. I pulled an inn from some image off online, and I plastered it on my Roll20, and I just started filling it with people, with NPCs. So literally create a place, just a small place in your world, and start filling it with NPCs. Now, in terms of story, like I was talking about, this story of Whisperwood and Everfrost, they're kind of two campaigns that marry together. It's all about a lich who is using some sort of soul device thing to suck up souls to enhance his own immortality. That's the villain of this campaign. It's a lich using souls, right? Nothing too crazy. It's been done before. I was about to give something away, but I'm not going to do that. It's been done before, but the reason that it's cliche is because it works, right? It's exciting, it's dramatic, and it's a good, clean villain. Like, it's an easy to understand villain. So it starts off in this kind of bed and breakfast inn, traveling this roadside inn called the Singing Crone, and an inn is a great place to start because it introduces players to a lot of the fundamentals of D&D. You get to talk to people, you get to drink, which is just kind of like a fun, a fun imagination exercise on like how do we imagine ourselves having fun even when there's no alcohol. Maybe there is alcohol at your table, so you can actually have drinking games. But we make NPCs here. So the innkeep is a halfling. His name is Xander. I'm not going to pull up my bigger notes. I'm just going to give you what I remember from this campaign. It's been a bit, but Xander's kind of like a no nonsense halfling. He's got kind of a deep voice, which is always good for little characters to have deep voices because it's immediately funny. He's a no nonsense halfling, and he runs a clean establishment, and he wants no trouble. All innkeeps want no trouble. Unfortunately, there's always trouble. And then these are a bunch of drunkards at his table, and then there's Mishka. Mishka's like Xander's wife. She's a human, and she is she's kind of lovable, kind, and she's always bringing stew to people. Very simple, very kind of nice NPCs that you want to protect right off the bat. Okay. You've got guards that are going to help you out in the ensuing fight that's going to happen. If you're going to start at an inn, do it. Start at an inn and then blow up your inn, right? Do something dramatic at the place where you start. Then we have this character who they don't know, but his name is Hjorg of the Northern Wolf. He has a nameplate, but the players can't see it yet. On Roll20, if you go up here, you hit nameplate, you could see it, but the players won't see it unless you click on the player permissions to see. The Wolf, he's a northern barbarian from the spine of the world who is down here on a hunt, right? And then you have a couple ne'er-do-wells. These are bandits who have tracked you in your previous adventures at the Greenscale Manor. So there's a previous adventure to this where the players have gone treasure hunting, and they return, and these characters are trying to loot them of their treasure. So we have some villains right off the bat, and then we also have a villain who is making a scene, right? Do I have her name? No, I don't have her name. I forgot her name. It's in the notes. And then you might have noticed that there are an absurd amount of goblins all around the Singing Crone. Those are there because there's about to be a fight. As it turns out, the Lich, who is trying to harvest souls in this region, is stirring stuff up to get people to war. He's trying to start wars so that there will be more, death in the region, so he can suck up more souls. So he is stirring up the orcs and goblins of the nearby Thundering Mountains, and he's sending them down to harass the populace. So you've got a tribe of goblins led by a bugbear chieftain who just smash into this place. Once the heroes have done enough talking, about the treasures they receive from the Greenscale Manors. Then suddenly they're attacked by a huge band of goblins and maybe a couple bugbears and a goblin boss. Throw it in there. Throw whatever you want. And then it's just chaos. Then you have guards helping. The bandits are fighting against the goblins, but they're also fighting against the heroes. It's a mess. It's beautiful chaos. It is a disaster, right? That's what you want. You're starting an inn. That's a great place to start, but blow up your inn. Make it really bad. That's my advice. So that's starting small. When you world build, you want to do the opposite. You want to house build and then town build and then region build and then maybe world build, right? If you have some ideas about your world, write it down. Write down your pantheon. Write down your biggest factions. Write down your big villainous factions. Write down your neutral factions. Write down your goodly factions. Write down any big places, any metropolises, any towns, any cities that are of significance. But when we really get down to it, what players are going to see and enact with is the small. They will deal with the small. So create the small. When you're making a campaign, there's no easy way around it. You gotta put the work in and make the small stuff. So that's what you gotta do, right? The players will, if they defeat these goblins, which hopefully they will, then they will follow their trail out onto the North Ride, which takes them over here, into another ambush of goblins and then orcs coming down from the mountain as well. So now we're introducing another enemy, and it gets even more dangerous out here because now we're in a goblin territory where they can hide amongst the bushes, and the orcs are very fast. And then we have an ambush scene around a busted up wagon. Cool. Any questions about world building? We good? So my advice, TLDR, is start small. Don't think about the world, but start small. Think about a town, a village, an inn inside that town, and then build out from there. You can literally spiral out your building, whatever you're building, from your starting point. So start with the village and build out from there. Cool. All right. So you might have noticed a big dragon here. Let's go into creature design. So here we have a crag dragon. I think Jeremy made a joke about crag dragons and one of the other tricks of the trade, but it stuck with me, and I was like, what if there was a crag dragon? What if there's a dragon who when he breathes, he just causes an avalanche? Not an avalanche, like a torrent of rocks, like a mudslide breath, or maybe avalanche is the best word. Now we'll get there. So the best thing to do is to compare it to another creature, right? If I want to create, let's just go into our dragons. Just type in dragon, see what we get. We're gonna get a whole bunch. It's gonna take a long time. This Dungeons & Dragons is gonna be a lot. Okay. So I think let's make an adult. Let's make a big boy. So let's just marry it to an adult red. Why not? Adult reds are huge dragons. This will put it up there, okay? Alright, so we got an adult red. Looking at the stats here, that's our adult red. First thing you want to do is go into your character creator. So this is your journal in your Roll20. And you go to go to character. And then we're going to call this Crag Dragon. We're going to click on the token here, use selected token for there. Okay. That'll do. I don't really need to do the art for my library right now. We'll just keep it there. Cool. We're going to create an NPC. This is your best way to create a monster, is create an NPC. Yeah? Okay. So just start filling the stuff out. It goes faster than you think. It looks bigger than you think. Huge dragon. We can kind of click and look at some of the stats here. 19. Let's make this dragon really hard to hit. AC 22, natural. Hit points. 256 sounds good. Let's say that it's got even more hit points. Let's say this is just a bulky beast. 322 sounds good to me. Just throwing out numbers. Doesn't really matter. It's fine right now. Speed for the adult red is... We're going to marry these two up. Speed is 40. That sounds good. Climb 40 feet and fly 80 feet. Let's forget about the climb and actually let's give this one a burrow speed. Let's say burrow 30 feet and then fly. Let's say he's got like not the best wings. So fly 30 feet. Like he's just not very fast. Okay. Strength. This is all good. We don't have to go too crazy. This can just all marry. 25. So it looks good to me. Intelligence 16. 13. And then charisma 21. Great. That looks great. Saves. You can even marry these. If you wish. 7 and 11. Awesome. Okay, skills, perception, stuff. All that's probably useful. You do kind of need it. I would say stealth, no. Perception is good to have. So, say he can see things. Stealth, maybe not, but what's it good for Crag Dragon? Maybe insight. He's got like better insight. Let's give him a 6 on insight. Yeah. Vulnerabilities. Typically the dragons that they have right now, if we're marrying it up to an adult red dragons, they don't have vulnerabilities. If I were remaking it, maybe I'd give it like a thunder vulnerability. Typically like earth things have a thunder vulnerability. Damage resistance. For a crag dragon, I might even give it some resistances, maybe like fire and acid. It's resistant to fire, acid, but it's vulnerable to thunder. Yeah? Okay. Let's see. Maybe even immunity to acid. Let's do that. Senses. Let's just give it the same thing. Blind sight 60 feet. And then tremor sense. 30 feet. Why not? Although it doesn't really need it right there, but whatever, that's fine. I like it. Let's make it bigger. Let's make that like 120 feet. Yeah. Languages, Common, Draconic, sounds good. Okay. Challenge rating, we'll put this at about a 17. It'll be about the same. You can fill in all the rest. Let's see. That's all done. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's done. That's done. That's all good. Great, great, great. Okay, so now we got the base. Legendary. Legendary resistance 3 per day. Sounds good. Okay. Legendary actions. I can probably just kind of let's see here. Oh, the name, sorry. Oh crap. No, this is gonna work. Okay, whatever. Got it. I see what's going on. Okay, so detect, make a wisdom perception check. Cool. I normally don't fill these out, but we'll do them. Why not? I get these mixed up sometimes. Okay. There we go. That's what I want to do. Okay. And you can use shorthand. Right, doesn't have to be. Tail attack. Don't even have to do that. And then wing attack. Costs 2 actions. We can just copy that and save that here. Okay, that's done. Actions, we can do the same thing, right? It's going to have the same. It's going to have the same for all this. You can say multi-attack. You can use shorthand. It's totally. Oops. So this will be frightful presence. Then 3 attacks. Then 1 bite. And 2 claws. Cool. Boom. And we do it. Bite. This is going to be plus 14 to hit. There's 14 right there. 10 feet. Sounds good. Let's say it's not as damaging as, say, or its claws are not as damaging as a red dragon. So let's bring it down a couple dice. Or 2d8 rather than 10d8. Plus 8. Piercing. And then it doesn't do any like extra damage. This is an earth dragon. Maybe it does some more acid damage. Yeah, let's have it do some acid damage. So it does 2d4 acid damage with this, with its bite. Cool. There we go. Now we're going to go into claw. $14 here. You don't have to say the one target or the reach. Well, yeah, you can do the reach, 5 feet. There we go. Let's make this 2d4. It's just not as dangerous as red. That just does claw damage. You're done. Don't have to go too crazy with that. Tail. This one's going to be plus 14 as well. Same thing. The way we're getting that 14 is we're adding in a base attack bonus that you kind of have to figure out. You just minus it from, or you add it from their strength. So that's 8 to get to 14. That means their base attack bonuses or their proficiency bonus is 6. So you know that from their strength being 8, from the strength being 8 here, and the fact that it's 14, their proficiency bonus is 6. Okay. On a hit, there's a tail attack, 2d6 plus 8. Bludgeoning. Cool. That's all we need there. Cool. Frightful presence. We just take it. Literally take this and paste it. You're done. It's the same thing. Okay, so breath. This is the thing that's going to make it its own thing. I would say like it's got avalanche or cave-in breath or like rock slide breath. Let's just call it rock slide breath. It breathes a. Let's make it something different. So instead of breathing a cone or a line, it's going to breathe. It's literally going to breathe like a sphere. It's going to breathe a sphere. So the crag dragon breathes a sphere of falling rocks. let's say not crazy big. Let's say just like a fireball, like a 20-foot radius, 20-foot radius sphere of falling rocks. Each creature must make in the area. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, yeah, it's vomit. Yeah. Each creature in the area must make and with things I make, I try to make them like you can either make one of two saves. So a lot in the game is just like you just make a dexterity saving throw, but I like to put things where a dex or a strength. So like strength or dex, right? Strength dex 21 for you can even shorthand this for half of that's a lot of fire damage. Red dragons breathe, and their stuff hurts. So we'll take this down a bit. Let's bring it to 8s because they are really painful. But let's say 12. 12d8 bludgeoning damage. Yeah. And the area becomes difficult terrain. Difficult terrain, yeah. There we go. Rock Slide Breath. We'll call that a recharge 5 to 6. Recharge just means I don't normally use the recharge. Typically, if I have a breath weapon, I breathe, and then I'll wait 3 or 4 rounds before I use it again. Typically, unless I really want to use it again, in which case I will roll the d6 to see if it recharges. But typically, it's just more dramatic to have a waiting period before you use it again. But it's there if you need it. That's a recharge of 5 to 6 for a Crag Dragon Rock Slide Breath. Great. So that's our dragon. Legendary actions. Let's go into this. You get 3 per day. Probably all know that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's it, man. And what you do here, now that you're done there. That's our dragon. It's got some differences than like an adult red, but it's pretty much the same, pretty similar in terms of its mechanics. Now we go to the token, and we go to the edit, and we go to represents character. It's very important. Don't forget to do this part. Go to here, and go to Crag Dragon. Nameplate, right? Now, when you click on it, Alt, double left click, it's there. It's all there for you. So now we can use the breath. And also with this, you can also like put in the damage as well. So let's do that. 12d8 bludgeoning. All right, so the tail should work. That's working, and now the rock slide breath. It does work. Great. Yeah. Ow. That hurts. There we go. Now you have a Crag Dragon added to your game. That is an Earth type dragon. I imagine like that can be, that could fill a whole bunch of dragons that are like attached to, instead of being attached to like a color, which kind of already is attached to a terrain, now you have dragons that are very much attached to terrain. Now you have like a crag dragon and like a swamp dragon and a desert dragon, and these can be very different. You can model these differently than say your blues, your reds, your greens, and your blacks. You can have them literally be part of the terrain. Maybe this one is not like mystical enough. Maybe you can make it more mystical. Maybe it can you can give it the ability to like polymorph itself into a rock, or it could just be a rock, or it has like rocky camouflage. You can add that into its actions over here. So let's do with that. Let's say like false appearance. Make it real nasty. The dragon appears to be a large collection of rocks. It requires a perception investigation 18 to spot. If not detected, the dragon gets advantage on initiative. There. There, it can be, now it has like a mystical ability to kind of blend in with the rocky terrain. Cool. You just keep giving it things if you want. But that sounds pretty good. You can also give it, you know, some layer actions. The red dragon has like, the ground shakes outside of its volcano, and plumes of smoke and fire and ash come out of different vents, and magma boils up and pops out of different holes in the ground. You can have stuff like that. You can add some layer action to a crag dragon. Maybe, yeah, everything starts to shake, and everybody has to make dex or strength saves, or fall prone, or maybe he has some abilities where you actually like are swallowed up by the earth. Oof. Or just there's difficult terrain all over the place where there once wasn't. Suddenly just the earth just kind of gets nasty and breaks apart. Yeah. There you go. That's a creature. Enjoy. Now we're talking camo. Yeah, that's a camo dragon. Yeah, camo crag. Yeah, I like this. This is a cool dragon. Unfortunately, this is only, when you create it, it's only in the campaign that you create it in. Unless you have, like, master subscription with Roll20, which I don't need. I mean, I could do that, but it's very rare that I need that. So this is now like a crag dragon in this campaign. But who knows? Maybe I'll use it. Maybe this inspires you to make your own monsters. My recommendation, again, TLDR, use a monster that's already there, map it out, use their stats, and then create your own. Yeah? Yeah. All right. Well, that's 50 minutes of me yapping. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We don't have to cut to commercial or anything. I don't think... Everything else? No. That's it. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it. We have Planescapers tomorrow. Planescapers is tomorrow at 8 p.m., so come watch us then. Planescapers are about to finish up their campaign. They are getting really close. There's only like 2, maybe 3 episodes left, and then we will move on into Azure Sky. So they're either going to finish up on the 23rd or possibly the 7th of October, or whenever that's going to be. Let's see. Yeah. Either the 23rd or the 7th will be our finisher. That'll be it. So we'll see. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it. I will see you next time. Next Tricks of the Trade. Peace out. Have a good one.